EPA expands Watchlist for unregulated drinking water contaminants. For water utilities, industrial operators, and compliance teams, the list of potential drinking water contaminants is getting longer. What remains less clear is how quickly those risks will translate into enforceable federal requirements. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has released its draft Drinking Water Contaminant Candidate List 6, CCL 6, a required update under the Safe Drinking Water Act that identifies substances not currently regulated but considered likely to occur in public water systems and potentially warrant future oversight. Public comments are open through June 5, 2026. While the list itself does not impose new requirements, it offers a clear signal of where federal attention is shifting and how cautiously that attention may translate into action. A broader universe of concern. The draft CCL 6 includes 75 individual chemicals, 4 chemical groups: PFAS, microplastics, disinfection byproducts, and pharmaceuticals. 9 microbial contaminants. The inclusion of entire contaminant categories, particularly microplastics and pharmaceuticals, reflects a widening scope of concern. These are areas where detection methods, health benchmarks, and occurrence data remain incomplete, yet the potential for exposure is increasingly acknowledged. Rather than focusing solely on well-characterized substances, EPA is signaling interest in contaminants that are less understood but more pervasive across water systems. Process over policy, for now. By design, the Contaminant Candidate List is an early-stage screening tool. It is used to prioritize research, inform future monitoring rules, and guide regulatory determinations. EPA is required to evaluate at least 5 contaminants from the list for potential regulation after it is finalized, but inclusion on the list does not guarantee regulation. EPA evaluated more than 25,000 chemicals using occurrence and health risk data before narrowing the field, highlighting both the scale of the issue and the agency's reliance on data-driven prioritization. At the same time, the document underscores persistent data gaps, particularly for emerging categories. That framing reinforces a regulatory posture focused on building the scientific foundation for future decisions rather than accelerating immediate rulemaking. Expanding risk signals without immediate burden. The structure of CCL 6 aligns with a broader federal approach over the past year, expanding visibility into environmental risks while moving more deliberately on enforceable standards. By grouping contaminants such as PFAS, rather than advancing additional compound-specific limits, EPA is broadening the scope of concern without triggering immediate compliance obligations. Similarly, the inclusion of microplastics and pharmaceuticals acknowledges growing attention, while emphasizing the need for further research before thresholds can be defined. For utilities, manufacturers, and compliance teams, this creates a familiar challenge, determining whether to act on emerging risks before federal requirements are established. What comes next? The draft list is not the endpoint. It feeds directly into future EPA actions, including unregulated contaminant monitoring rules, UCMR, regulatory determinations under the Safe Drinking Water Act, potential national drinking water standards. In practice, contaminants that appear on the CCL often move into monitoring programs before any enforceable limits are set. Planning in the gap. The draft CCL 6 reinforces a widening gap between what is recognized as a potential risk, what is formally regulated. That gap is where capital planning, treatment investments, and risk management decisions are now being made, often without clear federal direction. For organizations responsible for water quality, the question is no longer whether these contaminants will be addressed, but how early to respond and at what cost. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment and Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.